So what you're looking at here, this is the unified workspace that we've created for these claim status follow-up automation. If you followed us from our denials demo that we previously did, you should see that this look and feel is very similar to that. What we've mentioned in the past and the way we create this is not something intended to replace any systems of record that you currently have. So you will still utilize your EHRs, any billing systems or applications that you currently use. But this is going to be that unified space that will be all things. For in this case, it's going to be claim submission follow-ups. So we will be ingesting information from those applications. Like Fergus said, we're going to go ahead and ping payer portals and actually navigate the portals to get that information. We'll bring in here to bring all that data to the forefront so that decisions can be made for next steps. But ultimately, like we said, this is not a replacement. This is more of a complement. So any information that's collected and is important for the process, we can absolutely post that back to your EHR or other billing systems so that the data is current, it's updated, and anyone else around the process can see what's going on here. So for this case, what I'm going to do is just show you that once you begin your day, or so once that we understand that claims have been submitted, that's how we can get new accounts that appear within this workspace here or this platform. And then, as Fergus said, it goes through like a logic process. So we determine things like priority, we determine dates like next follow up times. This is something that we can collaborate with together, or even we can make suggestions. But we can use things like dollar thresholds, previous common or previous time or turnaround times from expected payers. Um, so we can go ahead and suggest rules so that the models can know how to properly classify a patient and determine like next follow-up dates. From there, what it's going to do is it's actually just going to ping that portal around that given time frame based on the priorities. We can set it to be much shorter turnaround times versus some that maybe we know we can go ahead and allow it to be a little bit longer. And then from there, it would just retrieve statuses if anything is available. If not, we can go ahead and adjust that next follow-up date so that it continues again. So this will be your constant reminder. You don't have to have a team always reminding when to follow up, or you won't have to defer accounts and then just have continuous work lists that need someone to manually review it. Let's just jump right into it. So I'm going to go ahead into one of these cases here. With this one, as you see, and in the past, as we've shown before, once you go into a case here, we're bringing in all this data that we're grabbing along from these applications you all use, EHR or any billing systems here. So we can bring in some information with regards to the patient. We're just doing name and like internal account number for now, but any kind of fields that you have available to you within those systems, we can bring them in here for displaying. Some of the payer details, so who the payer is, claim details, so around the claimant on information that's been there, so amounts, maybe the claim type, claim numbers, and then any kind of follow-up details. So this here, what I would like to highlight, this is part of that logic that we have, that the agent has determined. So based off of the criteria for this one claim, it has been flagged as a medium priority, and we already have a next follow-up date that's set. So already this is going to be placed on a schedule to follow up on that date um, for continuous monitoring until we get that final desired outcome. But with this one, we're going to go ahead and see that this one shows like it has received the status of denial there. So we're at a point now where we need to go ahead and have someone review this for further information. Before I move forward, I'd just like to show here the great thing about this automation is that we do respect anyone's need for visibility and understanding what takes place. So on the right-hand side here, this automation shows you what has taken along up until this point here. So just gathering that data, doing some normalization, doing some data analysis. It shows you here, the technology, when it took place, how this account has moved along the process. And then we are at a point where it is actually asking for human review. So we need one of your staff members to review some information that was collected. That will show up here as like a task that's remaining there. So if we click that, it's going to just now load that information. It's going to format in a way that's very easy to read and understand, bringing all that important information to the forefront. So as you see here, we're going to start off with a bit of a claim summary, pulling in some of like the internal information from your EHR, count numbers and all that, payer names, the amounts, when it was submitted. So we have all that information present, but now also we're bringing in what was that payer response. So as we said earlier, this one is a denial. So it's going to now bring in any reasoning, a summary of the narrative that was also captured. So it's saying that the claim, let me see, as determined services do not meet medical necessity criteria. So that's a bit of like why the denial reason that is there. But again, if there's any supporting codes or any other information that's available there, all that can be brought in and then realized here. As well, I know at times when even though we have any kind of electronic transactions or even clearinghouses, um, they just might show statuses of like accepted, rejected, just the claim status, but there's still not enough information being brought back. So for those accounts, even at times, we can even pull in the claim number that was assigned by the payer. We're showing you here, any of that information with regards to any updates that have been made. So the great thing about this is that we're getting this at a much rapid time frame for you all or for any organizations, but then at the same time, we can now go ahead and start tracking that within your applications. So with this, since we do see that as a denial, I'll put in a little plug here. This could then trigger or pass on to our denials management automation that we have, which will draft an appeal letter. So as this one actually collected information with regards to the denials, it could get this account going into that next automation, which would trigger that. And you could have an appeals letter turned around within the same day for this kind of case. But I'll focus on this one alone. So from there, again, just a little more interpretation. We're saying this needs escalation, and then just showing that this was a medium. This guy again, there's just that evaluation of risk or how important this one is. So this just kind of shows you some of that insights there. So at this point, we have decisions. We can approve this information and submit it back so that all this gets posted into those systems of record and noted there. So this information will not just live here; it will still live in your applications. Um, so with that, this is just an example of that one scenario. I'm going to go ahead and just show another example that we have of a different status that can be brought back. So let's see if I go to this one. Okay, so in this case, we're seeing here that we actually now have a status of paid. So we want to know now what additional information has been provided with that amount, with that comment. If there is any other follow-up information or anything else needed there. Again, still the same claim summary type information, who the payer was, the amount for that claim there, and then again, the payer response here. So this one we know this payment is issued according to the member's benefit plan. It's an approved amount. Reflecting in network contract rates are applicable. So as we see here, this is going to be a successful outcome. With this might be, again, something that would have been caught much in advance than a person would have. So now this can at least be updating the EHR, updating your accounting systems to know that a payment should be expected for this claim. So we know it's a very simple um, process, so to say, but it's one that seems to be a misstep from so many other solutions out there. We know there's a lot of claim scrubbers. We know there's a lot of technology around successfully or um, securely transmitting claim information, but there was always this gap around that follow up. It's always requiring someone to log into several portals, always having to keep track of all these different account numbers. Even the electronic submission processes don't always bring back enough information for your teams to understand what's going on. So we saw that need, and we, with the knowledge and information that we have around these portals and what we've done in the past, we figured this would be a great opportunity to go ahead and really complement those solutions and systems that you all have in place today. Again, this can utilize all that information and data that you have retained in those applications. We're just going out there doing that pinging. We're bringing back any important information just to give you all that peace of mind, or being able to make next steps much more rapidly. So yes, so this one again, we know we have a payment, we have a date of when it was checked, we understand payment will be received, we have a claim number. When that being submitted, it updates records and gets this account moving on to the final billing step. So with this, we're even saying we're reducing that time in AR. Again, just bringing such vital information to the forefront and really hoping we're making a benefit here to your organizations. It is simple, like I said, so that's really much of what it is that we have here. But wanted to just bring that to the forefront. And like I said, with that denial case, if you have like our automation or on the automation for denials, sorry, with that, yes, with that denial case, if you have anything there, we can go ahead and get automations to trigger right off of that. So this now again gets those next downstream processes to act much sooner. And with an automation in place, it just again continuously increases the speed of performance within your organization. So I am going to conclude that there. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So if this resonated with anyone, again, just to wrap up what will be shown today, this is how organizations can move from a reactive follow-up model to a more structured and controlled approach to managing claims after submission. It's really about gaining the visibility into a part of the revenue cycle that often operates without it and turning that visibility into action.